Hey, WealthLab 8 users, Glitch here. Welcome to Feature Spotlight, where I will show you one of the features of WealthLab 8. We'll take some deep dives into specific features in this series, and we'll also look at each of our individual extensions and see what capabilities they bring to WealthLab 8. And we are going to start off with an extension, the chart pattern extension. How do we get the extension? Very simple. Go to the wealthlab.com website, click extensions, scroll down until you see chart patterns, and then you can download it for WealthLab 8. Or if you're still running WealthLab 7, you could download it for WealthLab 7 as well. So here we are in WealthLab 8. And we're going to split this video into two, I think, because the chart pattern extension has so much in there, it's going to be too big for one video. Today, we are going to focus on the PriceGrid, which is basically one half of the chart patterns extension. So let's go ahead and quickly create a PriceGrid, first of all, to give you an idea what it is. When you install the chart pattern extension, you will see a new drawing tool in the WealthLab 8 drawing tools toolbar here, and it's right up the top here. It's a draw a price grid selector. So let me click on that, and once that's selected, I can identify an area on the chart like this, and then turn it into a named price grid. I'm going to call this one decline. So that price grid is now saved. Well, where is it? It is in the PriceGrid Editor. So let's open up the PriceGrid Editor, which is part of the chart patterns extension. These are the price grids that I've identified and that I created already. So I click my decline, and here it is. What the price grid does is it identified how many bars I selected on the chart. It happens to be 16, and it looks at the data in that range in the chart, and whenever there is a bar data open, high, low, or close within that area of the grid, it fills in that cell. So it creates this, in this case, a 16 by 12 grid that you can name and use in various places in WealthLab 8. You can edit the price grid. You could even manually, click cells if you really want to perfect your pattern. You can use this button here to select a new range. Let's say, we want to identify that range. We can create another new price grid. So this PriceGrid Editor lets you manage, name, and maintain your price grids. So now that we have price grids, what can we do with them? What are they used for? Well, you can see down here we have this purple indicator on the chart. This is PriceGrid CF. It is a new indicator that comes in the chart patterns extension. You can see it right here. And what this does is it looks at the 19 bars of data, because this price grid happens to be 19 bars wide, and it calculates how close the data is on a bar-by-bar basis to the price grid itself. So since I created the price grid ending at this bar, you could see the indicator value is 100 here because it's a 100% match. But as I scroll through the history, it's actually doing that analysis and figuring out how well each bar of data maps to that price grid. So we could see here, we have like a 69. That's not terribly high. Can we find any higher occurrences? Here's a 70. So this range here mapped a little bit, well, here's an even higher one, 71. So here's an area that mapped fairly well to my price grid. So this is an indicator. You can use it wherever you use indicators in WealthLab 8, including a building block strategy. So if I create a new building block strategy, we can see now a chart patterns kind of tree node here. These are new conditions for the building block strategy that come in the chart patterns extension. One of them is PriceGrids. So if I drag that over, I can pick which of my price grids I want and make this into a condition. So let's say the confidence factor has to be 70 or higher. And we will get rid of this exit. Let's give it a time-based exit. Let's say we will sell after, say, 10 bars of data. We give it a data set, a range. We can run the back test. Not really expecting any spectacular results here. This is just more to show you how you can use your price grid quickly and easily in WealthLab 8 via a building block. So there we go. Here, right off the bat, this price grid was at 76, so it did buy it here, and it sold it after 10 days. I had it set up. So there you go. The price grid in action in a building block strategy. Finally, if you want to simply drag that indicator onto the chart, of course you can do that too. You can select which price grid you want. Let's start with our decline, and then let's also look at the other price grid that I had created earlier, the steep decline. Let's see how they compare. So now we have two price grids being evaluated here in this pane. So we can see how well the chart data matched with both of those price grids all at once. Finally, if you are a C# programmer and you're using the WealthLab framework, you will be happy to know that there is a PriceGrid class. It's actually in the WealthLab.core library, so it's not even part of the chart patterns extension. The chart patterns extension just makes use of this PriceGrid class heavily. So in your C# code, you can create price grids. You can use the various methods. There's even a pictogram method that lets you kind of visually see what the price grid looks like on the chart. So there is the integration of PriceGrid into the C# WealthLab framework. And here it is. What this strategy did is it looks at the last, I think 15 or so bars at the end of the chart. It creates a price grid. Based off of that, it uses the pictogram to kind of plot like a little ASCII text-based version of that price grid up here, and then it creates the indicator for that price grid. So all in the C# code here for you to take a look at, use as you wish. I'm sure you will find many useful ways to implement this price grid that I haven't even thought of yet. And if you do, I would love to hear about them in the comments below or on the WealthLab forum. So that's it for Feature Spotlight Chart Patterns Extension Part 1 and the price grid. Thanks everyone, and see you all on the forum.